Hey everybody, welcome to another edition of Tuesday Talks with Ashley, Hannah, Costello Real Estate and Investments, and Angelo Datseris, President and CEO of Leverage Lending Group. Today we're going to be talking about all the latest headlines. Hey Roosterfish! We're going to be talking about all the latest headlines in the real estate world. So I am waiting for, oh, there he is. Hey there.
Yo,
How's it?
it's saying having trouble with this line. Hold on. This is weird. It's like the screen's black, but it says we're having trouble. Can you hear and see me?
Yeah.
That's weird. It's black. Hold on.
A little technical. Okay, we're going to try again. So, you never know with internet. Make sure you buy in an area with good internet and then stay on your internet company. I downloaded a little tool that lets me see what kind of internet connection I'm getting, because you got to hold those people accountable. And oddly enough, Angelo's wife actually works for an internet company, but that's neither here nor there. She's not like in charge of internet, but I always think stuff like that's really funny. So we're just waiting for Angelo to get his internet and technical situation sorted out. If y'all have any questions, as always, about anything real estate or mortgage related, please drop them below. And we are connected.
Are we connected?
Yeah.
Mic check. 1 2 1 2.
Yeah. We did it.
Oh wow. All right. Cool. Yeah. I don't know what that was all about. Weird.
It was weird because you weren't like with your normal account. Like it was your personal account.
I did notice that too, so I did switch it. Yeah. But that wasn't, I don't think that's the reason why. So anyhow, what's going on?
You know, just living the dream here in, the Charlotte real estate market, trying to not keep my hair from catching on fire.
Yeah, we're pretty good at putting out fires, aren't we?
Yeah. I mean, I'm going to add that to part of my description. She's also a firefighter and a real estate agent.
Right? Firefighter, therapist, real estate agent.
Yeah.
And everybody that's, well, thanks Tyler Moore for joining. Yeah, so anybody that knows real estate and real estate agent that knows that you're all of the above.
Yeah. I mean, you gotta be flexible. You gotta be nimble. You gotta quick on your feet. So,
yep.
I try to embody all those items.
Right.
So what's going on with you?
So, same old stuff. I definitely have a topic that we can discuss today.
Yeah.
And that's, yeah. So, and it deals with, we'll just get right into it.
Yeah.
When I'm going through the loan process with, one of our clients, like we are right now with a few of ours, I look at a lot of things, and what I often see that's misquoted or either undervalued or overvalued is homeowners insurance. Yeah. So a lot of times for lending purposes, for homeowners insurance, the lender needs to be covered for at least the loan amount. Okay. So if, $300,000 purchase price, the loan is for 200, it's got to be worth at least the loan amount to, and then some, of course, for that to rebuild, So I see a lot of insurance policies that the dwelling coverage isn't sufficient enough, and it's like a cheaper rate. Or there's a super low dwelling coverage, and then there's replacement cost. that they add to it, which does help. But you have to, I mean, you definitely want to get with somebody that's local, that you can get on the phone and talk to, because a lot of times, you know, I'm not going to say names, you know, the bigger online companies that you hear advertised on TV and everything, they don't quote you correctly. So the premium could be through the roof when you don't need, you know, and sometimes they're, let's say the coverage, all the coverage is needed is 200,000. Sometimes they're covering 350,000. Like, you don't need that. But they just do that because it's kind of like a simple automated thing, and it just calculates it. So it's great to, and I'm sure that you'll agree with this as well. It's great to have somebody that you can send your clients to and say, hey, here's what we have from company A. I don't really think it's right. Will you just take another look at it? And so they'll either say yes, and then, you know, or want me to think that I should quote it out. So then I'll contact the client and be like, hey, I see some things on this policy that I don't really, not necessarily agree with, but just I think are funny. And do you mind if I reach out to one of our preferred agents to just take a look at it? And they always, 9 times out of 10, they're like, yeah, sure, go ahead. So, and sometimes they've switched and went with my preferred agent. And sometimes, you know, the agent was like, nah, man, now that I talked to him, it's good, you know? Right. So it's always good to have a second set of eyes. And even in, you know, with doing loans, I mean, of course, I want people to shop, you know, but you want to make sure you're comparing apples to apples. I guess that's where the moral of this story goes. You want to make sure that the coverages are the exact same when you're quoting companies between different companies, because one quote could be a lot cheaper because it's not covering what it needs to cover, have the correct, like, dwelling coverage. So
that's so funny you bring that up, because I'm embarrassed to admit this, but I feel like an absolute moron when it comes to all things insurance. And my sister, like, she does big insurance. She like works for some big insurance company in Atlanta, and she like talks about stuff, and I'm like, and I just glaze over. And, you know, this is what I do know about insurance. I do know, and if I'm wrong, I'm sure someone will correct me. And Angelo, if you know otherwise, correct me. But with the typical homeowners insurance, it doesn't cover, like, it only covers what it covers. And like, if there's anything like water damage or flooding of any kind from any source, you're not covered. And that's one of the most typical situations that I've seen recently people dealing with. And so I always recommend to my clients that they should talk to their insurance agent about getting additional flood insurance.
Correct. Well, and it's also, I mean, definitely talking about, you know, flood insurance. If it's in a flood zone, you're required to have flood insurance. Right. When it comes to like water damage, like sewer backups, that's not automatically covered with a homeowner's insurance policy. That's a separate endorsement that you have to add to that policy to have it. So if you have a sewer backup in your house, insurance isn't covering it unless you have that endorsement. Just like earthquakes aren't covered.
Yeah, I did.
Insurance policies.
When that earthquake hit in the Carolinas, I like was reading about how, like, your home is not going to, you're not covered. Like, and sometimes there's not even any policy out there to cover you.
Correct.
Right?
Correct.
I don't know. Along those same lines, there's this new article that I read stating that, you know, we're going through a lot of weather pattern changes, and there are, you know, the fires in the West and hurricanes here that affect us in the Mid-Atlantic and the southern regions. And the FEMA flood zones, which determine whether you are required by the government to hold flood insurance, they don't go off of like they don't look at like environmental data and stuff like that. They kind of just, it's a black and white thing for them. And it's either required by FEMA or it's not required by FEMA. And just because it's not required by FEMA doesn't mean that your house is never going to flood.
Right. 1,000%.
Which I think people might think. I mean, I thought that when I bought my house. I mean, I'm like, if they're saying I don't need it, then if the government
right. I mean, you may never use it, but it's always better to be overinsured than underinsured.
right.
Even if it is a little bit more money per month, it's just safeguarding yourself for any unforeseen, weather, just natural disasters when it comes to hurricanes and, things like that. And I'm not even sure if, they cover hurricanes, but earthquake, no.
Right.
Yeah. So, but yeah, it's always good to talk to somebody, to go through every potential scenario. Hey, if you have a home that has a driveway that goes like this, and then so when it rains, the water will puddle in that driveway. Well, it's something you want to tell your insurance agent, just to make sure, because when you have a really hard storms really fast, like some of these storms that we've had lately, it rains really hard, really fast, and it floods a lot of stuff. It could severely damage, your house, get into your home. So very, very important. Very important to talk with somebody knowledgeable, reputable, and has your best interest at heart.
So we for flood insurance, and you're saying people are over or under quoting them because you have to have them, to include in,
for the underwriting.
Right. So when you're seeing that change in, what are you seeing more of? People not getting enough insurance, or people overcovered and not realizing they're overcovered? Like, what are you seeing?
I see it. Honestly, I think it's both. It's half and half. I see people being underinsured and then, overinsured. Somebody's saying, well, it's not going to affect just a purchase that we worked on just a month or two ago. It was quoting, two different companies were quoting my client, and one company said, well, to replace this house, it's going to cost X. The other company was like, well, not right now. We think it's going to cost X. So you want to make sure you have the proper replacement coverage too, to rebuild the house to the exact same specs that it is currently, if not better. So you definitely, I've seen both ways. I've seen, under coverage and over coverage.
And that's why your insurance rates change every year, right? Because the cost of
insurance goes up.
Well, yeah, and the cost to build your house as it
Correct.
exists. For example, lumber is really high right now, so
right.
How much it cost from previous year, you're going to maybe see a slight uptick.
Exactly, and it's definitely good to get requoted every other year, maybe right. reach out to your agent that you're working with, because some agents, many agents, your policy renews just automatically and nothing's done. Maybe you had a claim that fell off, a year, 6 months ago, and the agent didn't pick up on it or whatever. It's always good to talk I just get an update, like an analysis on your policy every year at renewal time, or every other year. I think everybody should do that when it comes to the insurance policies.
Like your annual or every annual, whatever that word is.
Semi-annual. Yeah.
There you go. Items to take care of is like taking a look at all your insurance policies. And I guess that's probably good to do for like every insurance policy you have.
Right. And not just your home, your car and everything else.
Because the lender is only going to care about what the loan amount, right? They don't really.
They want to make sure that you'll be able to rebuild the property, but the coverage has to at least cover the loan amount. So, yes.
And And that's it. That's all that it covers. Like we were talking about insurance for our house the other night, and we realized that like, okay, it's covering the mortgage on the house, but that money essentially goes to them, right? And then you're left with a difference. I mean, basically it was a loss leader. Like if our house flooded for any reason, it's not like there's not gonna be enough money for you as we saw it, right?
Really?
Oh,
Okay.
there would be, but you have to pay like the deductible and
You got to pay the differences.
yeah, and it was
Yeah.
like $1,000. And so I'm like, that's just money that you're gonna have to pay out. That doesn't make you whole, you
Right.
know? And so I am so ignorant on insurance. And I don't know why. I think it's just one of those things that I need like pictures, right? I need like a
Right.
drawing.
Yeah. No, I mean, there's a lot that goes into, policies more than what people think. It's not just, oh, my house is $350,000 sales price. Here's a quote. You want to know what's getting covered. What are your coverages? What are your liabilities? What, if somebody tries to sue you on your property, is there any coverages in there, for that? Somebody gets hurt, so it's just, I don't ever recommend going for any industry, for anything that you do. I don't ever recommend that you just do an online quote and just take that on face value and then run with that. Never. Absolutely not.
Well, yeah, because like when something happens, you want to like be able to talk to somebody
You
on
want
the
to be correct. You need somebody to talk to.
yeah,
Right.
do here? Why is it like this? Or, how can I plan? And that's my biggest thing when I'm talking to people about when we're talking about like getting a mortgage, right? A mortgage broker, and people are like, well, how do you feel about like Quicken, or how do you feel about blah blah? And I'm like, I mean, okay, it is what it is at the end of the day, but from as your real estate agent, when something happens during the transaction process prior to closing, like once you're under contract and prior to closing, there is a lot of steps in between there. And if something goes wrong and I can't get a hold of your lender for whatever reason, or I'm confused about who they are, or they're not answering because they live in California and I have to get something checked out by noon today, but they're not going to be in the
Right.
office. They don't have
Right.
a, then we're in trouble, right? So that's how I always try to justify, like explain it. I'm like, I understand you want the best rate. I'm just letting you know that here's why I recommend Angelo, for example, because I know that I can pick up the phone and I can call him and get a resolution to something when we are on tight timelines, which every real estate
Right.
is on a tight timeline every time.
Right. Exactly. Right. I mean, you schedule the closing date when you ratify the contract. So, and then you have X amount of days to get due diligence and, yeah. So it's always, you need, I've worked with people before, and everyone's rate is going to be a little bit different. Everyone's pricing is going to be a little bit different. Some may have an underwriting fee, some may not. It's there, but it's built into the rate. There's so many ways we can work a transaction, but you want to be able to talk to somebody. So when you see some of these companies, and I'm not going to name names. I'm working with a buyer right now that he submitted all his information online, didn't talk to anybody, and then they spit him out some quote or something, and then he tried to contact them to talk to them. He said he tried for a week, no
Yeah.
response, nothing. When he found me on Google, he goes, maybe, and this is a common misconception. He's like, maybe I pay a little bit more money, but at least I can talk to somebody local. Not true. You're not paying more money because I'm local or I'm not an online lender that they say they don't charge commissions. I mean, it's BS. You know what I'm saying? So, and that's what all of the media has made you perceive, is that these online companies are so much cheaper. Well, you know, you have to, there's a servicing value, a value to service as well. Now, of course, I try to get you the best rate. You know, some days my rates aren't going to be as good as the lender down the street. Some days they're going to be better. You know, all I can do is quote you the best I can possibly quote you. And then if you work with me, just wow you with, you know, the service and getting stuff done. So, so it's not always, cheaper is not always better.
Right.
It's not.
I would, and
You know?
having people understand that, you know, I always feel cliche. I hate to be like, I never want to like be a salesperson like that. I'm not selling anything. I just want people to know that, like, what do you value, right? Do you like to be able to talk to somebody? Are you, you know, there is a cost for everything, whether you pay
Right.
it today or tomorrow, because I guarantee you, if something goes wrong, you're going to be willing to pay to have it corrected.
Right. Yeah.
And I read an article too, and it said people are more likely to pay top dollar to have an issue corrected on the back end instead of just paying like a normal rate up front. And I was
doing what they needed to do up front. Correct.
that's
Yeah.
so
They're not. A lot of people are reactive versus proactive. You know, I don't. Well, to each their own, I guess. But
yeah. Listen, I understand watching dollars and cents, and
yeah,
I think that we do a really good job of like nothing is being charged exuberant on any level, right?
right.
But I explained it to someone like a couple days ago about, they asked me why I have recommended vendors, right? Like mortgage brokers, you know, construction.
Home inspectors. Yeah. All that.
And I said, well, because I've helped my clients reach out to just various companies online, and through my experience, these are the ones that got it done with that are I can rely on, that I know care about you as our client and understands that relationship. So I'm not getting anything. Like Angela doesn't pay me. You don't pay me to
No, and
recommend.
that's illegal. that's a violation of RESPA. Yeah.
Right.
No.
And people are like, well, why do you have him? And I'm like, because I know how he treats our clients, and I know the level of work that he's going to produce. He's reliable. He explains things, and we work well together. I know that we're going to close on time. I know that he's going to address any issues head on. And so that's why I recommend Angelo. Now, have I in the past gone with other people when I'm, you know, especially when I'm just getting started in the business? And I went through, I mean, I dealt with some bad mortgage brokers, and they're out there. There's bad real estate agents out there. There's bad contractors. It's just a trial and error thing. And so I already went through that process, so my clients don't have to.
And you found your core group, and you know, I'm sure I'm, you know, on a list of a few, of course, you know, as anything, and you've found it's all about. God, what was I going to say? Oh, yes, I pay you for the business when the loan closes, because it closes on time, because nothing happens without the financing. You know what I'm saying? Unless it's a cash offer, nothing happens without the financing.
Yes.
So if it doesn't close, you know.
And what you mean by being paid is that the
commissions, your commissions.
Right?
Right.
Money. Like
correct.
And that makes everything close.
Correct. Right. Everybody's happy. Everybody's that's a part of that transactions, the buyers, the sellers, the agents, you know, the appraisers, the surveyors, everybody is happy when everything closes on time. So if the money doesn't get there, we got problems.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, I do think that it is super easy for someone to think, oh, well, she must be getting, you know, they must work for the same company. You know, it's very confusing. I think real estate is very confusing. I mean, I was confused by it before I got into it. I'm like, why would someone just like so strongly recommend this group of people, or, Angelo to be my mortgage broker. And I'm like, listen, I get nothing. I get nothing. Angelo doesn't pay me anything. I don't get
Right.
anything other than the satisfaction of knowing that you're going to be taken care of. And that's all that matters.
Right. Because you're on the line. Your
Yeah.
reputation is on the line just as much as mine is. Yours more so because you're the one that recommended, appraiser, a home inspector, whatever. So if it comes back, so if something happens, that's your fault because you
Yeah.
recommended, me or whoever else. So, and you know me, you know how important reputation is to me and yourself. And so it's every client is priority number one, every single one of them. And that's just the way you should do business. And you know what? Some I may not get some deals because I may be higher priced one day versus another day, but you know what? I know for the shadow of a doubt that if I say I'm going to do something, I can get it closed.
Yeah. And you can't make everyone happy. And I've had to walk away from some clients because I don't, it's just not a good fit. And likewise, and that's okay. We're not meant to be here for everybody, but
Right.
I recommend who I recommend, and there's reasons behind it. And it's not because I'm getting anything financially from it. It's just
Sure.
because they help you. And I know that people think that that's crazy. People are like, yeah, right. There's always some benefit to help you, right? Like everyone's skeptical.
Yeah. They think you're, they think there are kickbacks,
Right.
and for some industries and things like that, there may be kickbacks, but when it comes to real estate, there are. This is back in 76, maybe the RESPA, the Real Estate Settlement Procedures Act came into play. Literally no kickbacks, nothing of value. I can't give you anything of value. I can't even give you a gift card. I can't buy you lunch because that's considered of value, So I'm not going to lose my license over one deal. That's my livelihood. You know what I'm saying? Or of the $1,300 commission. No, not happening.
No. And it's funny. I used we had to get a plumber to inspect a line for one of my clients. And he told my clients, I recommended a plumber, and he told my clients it was going to be one price. And then when he got on site, he increased that price. He told us it was going to be 150, and then when he got there, he said, no, it's actually going to be 650. And I blew a gasket. But you know what? I was like, it doesn't matter. We need this done. And so I paid for it. So that's what happens, right? That is why, and now I have a mental note, right, on how to adjust my expectations and maybe my preferred vendor list on plumber, because these people sold my clients one bill of goods, which wasn't the truth. And I'm not ever allow my clients to pay for something when I recommended them. And it's a discrepancy.
Right.
I'm just not.
No. And that's, what that's called, Ashley? It's called good business.
It's
just,
I didn't even think about it,
simple. It's good business. It's good business practice, to do that. Like for myself, if, things of course have went south in lending, for whatever reason. But if I quote somebody a rate and then I say, I'll lock you at this particular rate for this cost, if that changes before, that's not going to change, because if I decide, well, I'm going to let this rate float and I get bit on the back end because the pricing got worse in the next day or two before I'm able to lock it, I'm taking that hit. It's not on them, it's on me. So it doesn't matter. It's just like you. I'm going to take that hit because I am a person of my word, just like you are. You say one thing, you back it up.
Yeah. And I think I would like to think that people do the right thing like you and I do for our clients, but I've seen so many people not do the right thing. being in this business, and it's scary. It scares me. And that's why I just like, I think, I don't want to think that you and I are rare in the fact that that's how we just don't even think about it. Like, we just take care of things, even if it means paying out of pocket for us. But
Right.
I mean, I don't know, maybe we are. I obviously can't speak to everything, but I've just known that I've seen people hold their clients' feet to the fire in situations where I would not.
Right. Yeah.
And I'm like, I have to sleep at night. I mean, if it were me, I always like think about myself if it was a flip situation, and when
Right.
you're buying a house and when you're doing this stuff, it's a lot of money. It's a lot of money. It's very stressful. It's one of
Oh
like the
yeah.
top stressful things we're going to go through. And so I'm not here to like not have things go as I'd say that they're going to go.
Right. They're stressful enough as it is. Just even in a smooth, easy, transaction, there's still a lot of stress because there's timelines, and then there's, appraisals that we're waiting for and inspections that we're waiting on. And, it's, but it's a nail biter. I remember when I purchased this home, I was doing the financing. Well, I wasn't, but my other,
Yeah.
my team member was doing the financing for me, and I was biting my nails going through the process. So I get firsthand how crazy it is, and I know, I mean, I ran you through the ringer when we sold Kendall's. It is nerve wracking. It is complete, and it's you're a basket case, and, and we come to you for support and, guidance. I thought I could, in that particular scenario, I thought by being in the business, and this is maybe another point too, we could talk about, I thought by me being in the business, I knew a lot of things. And then getting down to it, because I tried to do for sale by owner, wow, was I wrong. Wow, was I wrong. So there's a lot. I had so much more respect for what you guys do on your end after trying to do it myself. And you do it day in and day out. And when I was trying to do it, I was a basket case. So props to you, Ashley.
I always, it was funny too, because when you were telling me that you were selling your house and you're trying, or Kindle's a condo, and you're trying to do it yourself. And I mean, I know that you know real estate agents, and some of, enough to be dangerous, right?
Right.
And so I'm like, I'm never ever gonna be like, really, Angelo, like, you're not gonna use me, like, I'm not gonna talk, like, I would never in a million years do that. But I'm like, I just wanted to help you. I mean,
Sure. And you
and
did. Yeah.
to see anyone struggle with it, because it's always way more complicated than anyone ever thinks,
Right. It really
And,
is. It
and
really is.
I'm like, I just tried to help, and I don't care. Like, at the end of the day, I was like reading something this morning about how do you know that what you're doing, what you're meant to be doing, and that you're passionate about it. And it said, because you would provide the service that you charge for, you could do it and not get paid, and you'd still do it.
Still get, yeah, so just have that satisfaction of doing it.
Yeah, that's what you want to help. Like,
Correct. Right.
I was just giving you pointers to help you. You weren't at that point, I wasn't hired by you or anything, but I was like, hey, make sure you do this, or I would do this. But I mean, that's how you know that you're doing what you're supposed to be doing. And I'm just like, I guess I'm grateful because, I would, I want to see people have successful real estate transactions, because
Yeah.
it is so easy for people to be taken advantage of. And you're talking about large sums of,
Large sums of money. Yeah.
I have no patience for people that are doing things that are unethical. And I will fight. Angelo, I think I lost him. So we're going to go ahead and wrap up then this week's edition of Tuesday Talks. Are you there?
Yeah, I'm back.
You're
I
kind of cutting
was
in and
connected
out.
for some reason. All right. Maybe it's time we wrap. Maybe it's time we
Yes.
wrap up.
This
Okay.
this has been great. This has been great though. Great
Yeah,
to
for sure. So yeah,
um
I'll let you, since I'm breaking up, I'll let you do the closing with everybody.
if as always, if anyone has any questions related to anything going on in the real estate, mortgage, home loan industry, please feel free to drop Angelo or myself a message, email. You can call us. I'll also put our information in the show notes today. Make sure you're following us on all social media platforms.
Yep.
And we will see you next week, Tuesday at 1
1
o'clock.
o'clock. Pew, pew,
All right.
pew. See you.
Thanks
Bye
for
bye.
tuning in. Bye.